All right. Hello, everybody. Okay, I've got some moving, disappearing body parts there. Okay, so welcome. It is Monday, January the 13th, 2025. So if you're watching this, you know the day that I'm doing this. So I am super thrilled to be talking to you guys today because January 15th, if you don't know what's happening on January the 15th, besides being another pro development day at my kid's school, it is a pretty important day if you've got a single family home, single family house, and you're trying to figure out how to leverage that and how to grow it. So I'm going to share with you a new mortgage option that's coming up on January the 15th. And we'll run some numbers on why it might make sense to you. Now, when I heard about this last year, I'm like, oh, fantastic. I've got a couple of properties in Toronto and I can leverage this new mortgage option. Turns out I can't do it. Okay, so it doesn't apply to me, but it may apply to you. And so that's what I'm hoping today's call is going to do, is to help fellow accredited investors, fellow investors, real estate investors make sound decisions on their opportunities. So I just jumped right in there and didn't even tell you what you're doing here. So this is Money Matters. I am Huong Luu. I am with Cash Property, and today we will run through an analysis, which I just told you. Okay, so now before I do that, I do want to let you know this is a bit of a busy week because we have our mastermind coming up on Friday. And if you want to learn, you know, some stuff about real estate and you want to meet fellow investors, and you want to, potentially bounce some strategies around, learn something new about real estate, this mastermind group is probably going to be a good one for you. So we run this on the third Friday of every single month, and you just sign up, attend. If you don't like it, then, then you've got that one evening. But I'm pretty sure you're going to like it. There's a lot of information that we share. There's always an educational moment and also some networking. So this is the mastermind website here. So I will include that in the link for you as well in the description. The other thing as well is we have our breakthrough analysis paralysis group coaching session. We are starting a new session group in January and February. So if you have FOMO around making your next opportunity, it could just be the lack of analysis skills. And just sometimes sitting down with myself and the group of individuals on the call, you'll figure out how analyzing opportunities can be so easy. Okay, so that is also happening. If you want to sign up, there's a quick, easy button there. I will include that in the sign up sheet as well, in the description below. Okay, so let me go into the topic for today, which is around this new mortgage option that's coming up in January the 15th, in 2 days. Okay, so yeah, so like I said, I was pretty excited when it came out. But then once I started doing some legwork and figuring out, okay, how does it apply to me and can I implement it? And which one of my properties can I do this on? It turned out that I can't actually use this new mortgage option that's coming up. So we'll go through that. Okay, so what is coming up is, let me see, which one should I share with you here? The mortgage calculator. Yeah, the mortgage calculator. So on the screen, you'll see a mortgage calculation sheet. I calculate my mortgages in 2 ways, just to double check everything. So let me make this a little bit bigger. All right, so this is the mortgage calculator sheet. And so the new program that's coming in, oh, my sharing is stopped. So let me just re-share this here just to make sure that you guys can see this. Sharing screen is paused. Okay, let me unshare. It could just be that it doesn't like the one, this one here, the mortgage one. Okay. Your screen sharing is paused. Okay, I do oh, let me see. Can I resume that way? Okay, I don't know. Let me try maybe a different screen. Okay, let me try sharing in a different way here. For some reason, it's saying that it's not actually not sharing. So let me try this one here. See this one? Okay, perfect. So you should be seeing this screen. Okay, so as you can see, the longer I do these sessions, the more efficient I'm becoming in terms of what I'm sharing and stuff like that. So for a lot of investors, if you're, struggling on creating a broadcast for yourself, just realize it's going to take time to build that out and to have the confidence, just like what I was doing there. Okay, so the new mortgage rule that's coming out. Just a disclaimer, okay, before you go and take anything that I tell you today, please just go and double check it with somebody else. Make sure that it's right for you. So the new rule that's coming out on January the 15th, okay, is if you have a single family residence, you are allowed to go and refinance your mortgage, go all the way up to 2 million. Okay, so the max is 2 million, and you can use that amount to go and build a secondary suite, a tertiary suite, or a fourth suite in your single family home. Okay, so now you do have to check with zoning to make sure that the area that you're in allows for that. And you're only allowed up to the 2 million. Okay, so my properties in Toronto, they're way more than 2 million, right? So it wouldn't make sense for me to even implement this because one, I wouldn't be able to. Okay, so the thing to keep in mind, so let's just say we go up to the 2 million. So we'll start populating some numbers in here. Okay, and so this would need to be on an existing home that you already have. And so you're just going to be refinancing it up to the 2 million. Okay, so we're going to change this to 2 million. Okay, now a lot of us are wishing we had the rate of 3%. We're not going to get that now. So maybe 4.5%. Okay, okay, so now I've got a 30-year amortization here. So this is one of the other changes as well, is that you can take advantage of, is going up to the 30 years. So now before we run the analysis on the 30 years, let's run it on 25, okay? Because the 25 is what most of us are used to. And if you are able to refinance at the 25, run your analysis based on that. And then if you can get the 30, then it does warrant a further discussion because there's some benefits of going with the 30. The problem with going with the 30 is that, I'll show it to you here, is that you end up paying way more interest than you would if you just had a 25-year mortgage. Okay, so we'll leave this as monthly interest payments. Okay, so now you see this number here, $11,000. That is what, okay, your monthly mortgage payment's going to be. Okay, and for a lot of us, that's a lot of money to be paying on a single family home or maybe on a duplex. Okay, so keep in mind that this amount, a portion of it is going to be a tax deductible expense, because when you convert your single family residence into a duplex or a triplex, you can write off a lot of the expenses that are associated with operating that single family home now, because a part of it is going to be an investment. Okay. The other thing to point out is that this 2 million is the loan value that you're going to get from the bank. That's not what your property is actually appraised at. So this loan amount is actually 80% of what your property value is. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Oh, no, sorry, it's not 80%, it's 90% of your appraised value. So that is the other change that came in with this new mortgage rule, is that you can go up to 2 million for the refinancing, and you can go up to 90%, and you can go up to 30 years. Okay, all of that if you can qualify for it. Okay, so best case scenario there. Okay, so now this needs to be considered on, the thing you need to consider is where your property is located, because you need to consider, like say Vancouver or Toronto, you may not have a property where the loan value is going to be 2 million, because it's just going to be way more than 2 million. Okay, so this money that you get, you would be able to use it for adding in your secondary suite. Okay, so if you think about that, if you take a single family home and you add in a secondary suite or a tertiary or a fourth unit, so 4 in total. Okay, so it's not you're adding 4, then your unit is going to be 5. You can't do that. It's 4 in total, including your unit. So that means you're going to get 3 units that have rental income. So as long as those 3 units make rental income and it covers this 11,000, you are in effect house hacking. You're now living in a place, not having to pay rent, and somebody else is paying your mortgage down. Okay. Yes, you're going to have property taxes. Yes, you're going to have maintenance. Yes, you're going to have insurance, but you're going to have that anyways. Okay. So if you can get a loan for 2 million and build 3 additional units in your property, highly recommended that you take a look at this. Okay, so the other thing here to keep in mind, so we ran this with 25 years. So now let's just very quickly change this to 30 years and you'll see the difference here. So this 25 years is 11,000 a month in interest and principal payments. The interest that you're going to pay on this 2 million is 1.3. Okay, so just keep that in mind. It's 1.3. If we change this to 30 years amortization, your monthly payments go down because basically you're adding in another 5 years that you can carry this mortgage that you can take to pay it off, right? So it gives you a bit of breathing space in those 5, like for the whole time, so that you can make sure that you make your payments, okay? I would suggest that you do the 30 years and then pay it down through the prepayment privileges that you can to bring it down to 25 or faster if you can, okay? So look at this. If we increase the amortization to 30 years, look at the total interest that you've now have to pay, 1.6, okay? You're literally paying another $300,000 to be able to increase your amortization by 5 years. 300,000. Okay, now keep in mind that 300,000 is post-tax dollars, which means you actually have to make, depending on your tax bracket or whatever corporate taxes you have to pay on this, you have to make more than 300,000 pre-tax dollars to be able to pay for this extra 300,000 of interest. Okay, so yes, it's beneficial to increase the amortization, but just be aware that it's going to cost you more money at the end. Okay, so the thing that we need to also keep in mind with this is that, okay, so let's just say now you've gotten this loan and you now have to use it to build your additional units, okay? So now this 2 million is going to cover or pay off your existing mortgage and give you a little bit of extra cash to go and do the construction. So this would be considered like an equity takeout, specifically for an improvement to your property. Okay, this is not in addition to your existing mortgage. This will repay or eliminate your existing mortgage and then be a brand new mortgage. Now, could you go to your existing lender and use them and get them to increase it? Yes, absolutely. You can, use your existing lender and say, hey, Mr. Lender, I can add in, 2 or 3 more units in my place because of the zoning's already there. And there's enough equity there for me to do that. Absolutely. Definitely worth taking a look at. Okay. So now the thing that I want to run through with you is what happens when you add in the 2 or 3 units afterwards, okay? So because now you've got a $2 million mortgage, okay? So that's where the next spreadsheet comes in. So let me find that and then we will unshare it. I will share it with you, okay? So let's see here. Okay, so on the screen, you should see an Excel sheet. Oh, no, it's still not letting me do that. Okay, for some reason, it just doesn't like the share portion. So let me share with you the entire screen and see if that makes a difference here. Cash flow analysis. Okay, so on the screen, you should see the cash flow analyzer that I use. Yeah, don't let all the crazy numbers scare you off on this spreadsheet. Okay. So let's just say here we are, okay, let me just get rid of some of this information here. So the asking price, so we're just going to put 2 million in here. Three, do I need another zero? Okay. And the purchase price is just going to be this one here. Okay, the renovation costs, you know, it doesn't matter at this point, right? Like you're basically going to take that whole 2 million, pay off your existing mortgage, and then go do the renos. Okay, so now let's just say we build 1 unit, 1 unit, 1 unit. Okay, so we got 3 units going in, and let's just say we can get $2,000 a unit. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run this with 1 unit first, and then we'll see what the numbers look like. So you've got $2,000 coming in. So this is assuming you have your single family home and you're going to just add in one new unit. Okay. Then we'll run the numbers with 2 and 3, and you'll see the scalability in it, because basically what you're doing is you're just adding an extra 2,000 or an extra $4,000 on. Okay. So now your rental income for the year, for the 1 year and every single year after with rental increases, is $24,000. Just think of that. Okay. So let's just say your renovation is 260,000. Well, you're going to be able to write off this $24,000 income because you just spent $260,000 renovating it and getting this new suite in. Okay. So yes, you're making income, but you're basically writing it off on the other side. Okay. When you do your taxes. The other thing to keep in mind with this new mortgage rule is that it has to be your primary. You have to live there. And so that's why when I found out that portion, I'm like, well, I can't do that. I'm not living in my rental places. I'm not living in my single family home because I don't have a single family home. But like I've got a duplex and I've got triplexes. Well, I was thinking, okay, great. Well, then I can add a 4th unit, or I can add 2 more units. Well, I cannot, because I don't live there. Okay. So this only applies if you live there as your primary. Okay. So let's just say, okay, so now you know, you're going to make $24,000 coming in, and that's going to help you pay down your mortgage. Okay. So now if you look at this 2,000 isn't going to be enough to cover your $11,000 or $10,000 in mortgage. So you're still going to be out of pocket about $8,000 a month. Okay. But at least now you've got an extra stream of income coming in. Okay. So now let's just say the heat, we're just going to go in here, and let's just say the heat is $100 a month, or you can charge that to the tenant, right? You could split it in some way. Your property taxes, let's just say it's $5,000, depending on where you are. The condo fees, insurance, let me see here. No, so I'm going to go back and undo that one. Okay, so I'm going to go $5,000 in this cell. And the insurance, let's just say it's 4,000. Okay, so the property taxes and the insurance, you're going to be able to write a portion of that off because now you're renting some of that space. Okay, so you're going to be self-managing. So I'm going to put 0 there. If you need to hire a property manager because you want to be very hands-off, that's absolutely fine. But at some point, you know, because it's your own place and you're living there, you may want to just absorb that on your own. Okay. The repairs, okay, I would keep that there. Vacancy allowance, okay, keep that there. Internet, that's going to be 0. So let's get rid of that. And water furnace rental, okay, maybe $100. Okay, and then 5% for other. Okay, so if you look at this, your expenses just from all of this is 14,000. Now that's quite high because you're assuming that you're writing off all of the taxes, insurance, all of that stuff. Okay, so what I would say is you're probably only going to be writing off about maybe 35, 30, 25 as a minimum, depending on how many units you have. So I'm going to say 25%. Okay, so I'm just going to move that over here. So if you take this 14,000 times 25%, okay, how did we do that? let me see here, equals times 25%. Oh, okay, so $14,000 for the year, and we just want to times that by 25%. Okay, so that's $3,595 that you could potentially get to write off as the expenses for having this one extra suite. Now, you might think, okay, well, Hong, I had one big house and now I'm sharing that space with somebody else or that one unit. So it should be 50-50. Not necessarily, because it's by square footage, right? It depends on how big your space is compared to the secondary suite. So usually the secondary suite might be 25 to 35% of your space anyway. So it's not going to be the whole amount. Okay. So now what you're going to do is take the 24,000 minus the 3,005. So you're still going to make $20,000. Okay. So just think you're going to have $20,000 coming in to help you with your living expenses, because the additional cost of the renovations and the additional cost of that equity takeout is is it's sort of like a forced savings account, because you're going to pay that down with the rental income that's coming in, and you're going to have appreciation, mortgage pay down, and appreciation on your property. Those all like those big three camping things. Okay, the camping things. So now let's just say you decide to add in 2 units instead of just one. So now we're going to add in $2,000 here. Okay. So that $2,000 now puts $48,000 into your pocket, but the costs, like your carrying cost, is still going to be the same. Like your expenses are still going to be the same. Okay. So now look at this. Your expenses from this one unit was 3,500, let's say. But now with 2 units, your carrying cost just went up by $1,000. Okay. So it totally makes more sense to buy, to add in more units. Okay. Now, the other thing too is, now because you've got 2 units as a rental, you can actually write off a little bit more. So let's just say you go to 35%. Okay. So now technically you can actually write off $6,000, which is really cool. Okay. So now let's just say you can add in another unit. Okay. So now you're going to have 3 units for a total of 4, which is the max that you can have with this new mortgage program that's coming up. Okay. So look at that. You are now making $72,000 from these 3 additional units. This is a normal 9 to 5 job for somebody. Okay. And this is also post-tax dollars, if you want to think of it that way. So you would have to work and make 100,000 to be able to pocket $72,000 in your pocket. Okay. Insurance, everything is also the same. And your expenses went up a little bit because some of these repairs and others is based on your total income. Okay, so $20,000 is your expenses. So you're pocketing about 50,000. Okay, so now, now you're just going to write off 35,000 for expenses. That's 7,000. Okay, so if you're like, oh my God, Hung, this is a lot to think about. Yeah, it absolutely is a lot to think about, but it makes sense to sit down and run through the numbers, because it may make sense for you to leverage this new mortgage program, okay, to be able to put in 3 units. Okay, so, this cost of putting in a new unit of 260, it depends on what you already have existing there. Like if you've already got water running to certain places, then it's not going to be as expensive. But if you've got to put in the 3 kitchens and if you've got to update electrical, then yeah, it's going to be on the higher end of this, right? And it could be potentially about, I would say maybe 100,000 to about 200,000 at the most per unit. Okay. So you shouldn't be going more than 200,000 a unit. Okay. So that's just some quick math there. Okay. So let me just make sure I've got everything for you about, oh, the other thing is with these 3 up to 3 units that you can put in there, you can't do short-term rentals. No short-term rentals allowed at all. Okay. Now, how are how are they going to regulate that? I don't know, because let's just say you go in there with the intention of having only long-term renters, and then 3 years, 5 years down the road, short-term rental is a big thing again. Then and you switch over. I don't know how they would regulate that, right? For Toronto and Vancouver, because of all of the regulations around Airbnb now, it may not make sense anyways to do short-term rentals. Okay. So now this mortgage option, you would not be able to do that with the condo. Okay. So for those of you who are doing the condo strategy, okay, you basically have eliminated this mortgage option just because it's a condo. Okay. The other thing to keep in mind is you would not be able to use this as part of your 5-house plan. So if you are under the 5-house plan, which is where you buy 5 houses, and that's all you're going to be doing is buying 5 houses, and that's setting up your future financial retirement, then you won't be able to use this because you can only use this on your primary, which is only 1 house. Like, you can only live in 1 house as your primary. Okay. What else can we do here? That is it. Okay, so I have basically given you everything on this new mortgage option that's coming up in January the 15th. Now, if you want help on figuring out a little bit more about that, please feel free to reach out to me. I am available. This is the breakthrough analysis code. So it's not to connect with me, but it will take you through to a sign-up sheet, and you can use that as well. Or you can connect with me on this way, okay, on Cash Property. Okay, all right, everybody. Thank you so very much for tuning into another episode of Money Matters. Have a super awesome day.